Welcome back to another fractions lesson with me, Mr. Duclos. Today, our objective is to find the product of a whole and mixed number using the distributive property. Let's jump right in and see what we can do. So now we're going to jump into our first application problem. The instructions say, multiply using the distributive property. So on our first problem, we have 4 times 3 1/2. Well, using the distributive property, I know that 3 1/2 is equal to 3 plus 1/2. So then I can change my equation into something that's a little easier for me. I can make it 4 times 3 plus 4 times 1/2. So I've taken up a problem that's probably pretty difficult, and I've turned it into 2 much easier equations that we can now solve. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 4 times 1/2. So 4 times 1/2 gives me 4 over 2. But I can then simplify that because 2 goes into 4 twice. So that equals 2. And we come to our final answer being 14. So let's review what we just did there. We took 4 times 3 1/2. We broke down the 3 1/2 using the distributive property into 3 plus 1/2. Then, using the distributive property, we did 4 times 3 is 12, and 4 times 1/2 is 4 over 2. But 4 over 2 wasn't simplified, so we simplified it into 2. Then we had our main equation, 12 plus 2 is 14. So that lets us know that 4 times 3 1/2 is 14. Let's try another one. So over here, we have 5 times 4 2/3. And just like before, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break apart the 4 2/3 using the distributive property. So 4 2/3 is equal to 4 plus 2/3. So now that I've done that, I can continue to use the distributive property to multiply both by 5. So we'll have 5 times 4 plus 5 times 2 over 3. 5 times 4 is 20. And 5 times 2 over 3 is 10 over 3. But again, I can simplify that because I can go 3, 6, 9. So this is equal to 3 1/3. So now I've changed using the distributive property, I've changed my equation from 5 times 4 2/3 to 5 times 4 plus 5 times 2 over 3. And that gives us 20 plus 3 1/3, which then equals 23 1/3. So by using the distributive property, what I've done is I've taken equations that might be hard for us to figure out, and I've broken them down into much simpler, much more doable problems that then help us solve. Let's try a few more and see what else we can do. Now let's continue with two more application problems. Our first problem says 7 times 6 5/8. The first thing I'm going to do is break down my 6 5/8 into 6 plus 5/8. That's going to help me use the distributive property to make this problem even easier. So using the distributive property, we have 7 times 6 plus 7 times 5/8. Well, 7 times 6 is equal to 42. And 7 times 5/8 is equal to 35/8. But 35/8 is not at its most simple form. So if I count by eighths, I go 8, 16, 24, 32, that's 4. 32, leaving me 3 more. So 35/8 is equal to 4 3/8. So now I have 42 plus 4 3/8. 42 plus 4 is 46 plus 3/8. Now let's try one more before moving on to your independent work. Our final application problem before moving into your independent work is 9 times 7 6/10. So just like we've done with the other three, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break my 7 6/10 into 7 plus 6/10. Now I can use the distributive property to make this problem much easier. I can turn it into 9 times 7 plus 9 times 6/10. Well, 9 times 7 is 63. And 9 times 6/10 is equal to 54/10. But 54/10 isn't our most simplified version. 54/10 is equal to 10/10 plus 10/10 plus 10/10 plus 10/10 plus 10/10 plus 4/10, right? Because you'd have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 54. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 54/10 is actually equal to 5 4/10. Making our final answer 68 4/10. Now, if you wanted to, you could even simplify the 4/10 further into 2/5, because 2 goes into both of them. But because our problem didn't ask us to simplify it in the most simple form, and because our problem started in tenths, it's okay if you leave your answer in tenths as well. Now we're going to move on and we're going to do one problem from your independent work. Now we're going to do one of your independent problems. Today's independent problems are a little bit harder and longer, so there are only 3 of them, and we're going to do the first one together. Your instructions are to use the distributive property in order to solve. So, even though you can't use the distributive property on the Google form, you should be doing it on a piece of paper with a pencil, and then once you find out the answer, you mark it on the Google form. Our problem is 6 times 8 2/7. Well, first thing I'm gonna do is take that 8 2/7 and break it up into 8 plus 2 over 7. Now, I can use the distributive property. I have 6 times 8 plus 6 times 2 over 7. Well, 6 times 8 is equal to 42. And 6 times 2 over 7, 6 times 2 over 7 is 12 over 7. But now I see that I have 12 over 7, and I am going to ask you to convert it to the smallest fraction possible. So that 12/7 is going to change to 1 and 5 over 7. So then we have 42 plus 1 and 5 7/, which equals 43 and 5 over 7. You're now going to go finish your other 2 problems all on your own. If you're doing a seesaw assignment, that's great. That's totally cool. When you're done with this, go finish your seesaw assignment instead of a Google form. And after that, make sure to have a great day. Goodbye.